Catus Maximus here. I believe this is one of the cheapest levels available, period, even if you compare to Harbor Freight. But this was at the orange box, surprisingly enough, made in the United States. Empire's basic nylon torpedo level. So for $3, there's really no excuse not to buy at least this American product. I've always been happy about that with Empire. Not all their products are made in the United States, but they make a good and an honest effort. And it's something like this also goes to show you, I should say, that you can clearly see this interesting finish. This has quite a bit of fiberglass mixed in with the nylon. So this is fiberglass reinforced, and for its weight, should be plenty durable. As far as dropping it, I don't think there'd ever be any concern except for maybe the bubbles itself actually hitting something and perhaps popping out. But I was really surprised, and this is actually a nice product because a lot of times you just want a basic level, but one that you just don't have to really worry about at all. Obviously there's no rust issues. If it does get dented or dinged along any of these surfaces, it's pretty easy just to take a piece of sandpaper or just a knife to knock out the burr so it's still flat. I have checked, these edges actually are pretty straight. I do like the undercut here. That's pretty nice when you want to get it centered along a corner here. And as we can see, it's quite a bit smaller than a standard torpedo level. But one thing people may also like about this, one, it's easy to hang off a lanyard, and two, it's super duper lightweight. So any kind of situations where you may need a level that is both non-metallic, so this is not electrically rated, but it obviously is not very conductive, being a plastic or nylon and fiberglass, offers that degree of safety, but it's just super lightweight, so you barely notice that you're carrying it at all. And I do like small levels like this. I actually have this Stanley here, which is like a big level that's just been cut down. I've always liked this small little level, but I think this one is great. Now, as far as the bubbles, they just design it so the bubbles will actually just snap in there. So that would probably be the biggest issue, is maybe if it fell and then happened to land right on the back, then the bubbles may pop out. To tell you the truth, I think Empire could have just put a little dabs of glue in there to really ensure that those bubbles never go anywhere. And obviously that's something that you can do when you get it, is just put a couple dabs of glue in those spots. That's plastic compatible glue, and you won't ever have to worry about the bubbles doing anything. But it's also kind of nice because you can order bubbles by themselves of various lengths, so you could get different colors and consistencies. I think that's the one thing I've always mentioned about Empire, is that they could use more of a day-glow green in their bubbles, just so they're a little bit easier to see. But these really aren't too bad at all. I don't mind these bubbles, and of course it does have the standard 45 degree, 0 degree or horizontal, and vertical 90 degree. Not a lot else to say, except for this kind of exemplifies that a lot of products aren't made domestically, just because, you know, corporations now pay their executives millions of dollars, etc., etc. They have to turn over tons of profits to investors, so they're always pushed to move production overseas so they increase their profit margin. It isn't like the corporation isn't physically viable. It's just that they may not make enough money. I think that's the deal with Shopvac. Obviously, Shopvac still was selling quite a few vacuum cleaners, more than enough to sustain an organization. But of course, they just decided to shutter it because they weren't going to be able to make as much money as they wanted to. So it has to do with the ethics of people running an organization. That's why I kind of still appreciate Empire. I don't know if they're owned by somebody else. I didn't check it out, but I was still surprised to see what actually has a pretty decent fit and finish. There is no burr. There you can see the molding line, but it's extremely shallow, so very tight on there. And so I was noticing that really tight molds. It's actually a pretty decent little for $3, they could easily charge $5 for a little nylon level that's has a pretty good fit and finish. So anyway, I approve. I mean, really, for the product, for literally $3 on a retail shelf, I think this is probably one of the best values, period. Harbor Freight doesn't have anything quite like this, and I was a little surprised to find it. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.